Hi guys, it's Rob, and in this next series of tutorials, I'm going to be covering the material for the CS100 Roadmap to Computing course at NJIT. This course is in the Python programming language, and what I've done here is I've constructed this review sheet to take you through some of the core aspects and topics that you'll be facing. I've also included sections where I describe common mistakes made on the test and how to better prepare yourself to avoid these common pitfalls. And a little bit on the sources and my experience. So the sources for this review sheet are comprised of notes from Dr. Cohen's CS100 Roadmap to Computing course at NJIT, which I took about 2 years ago during my first semester at NJIT, and the textbook used for that course, which is Introduction to Computing Using Python, an application development focus. Additionally, I've used things that I've discussed with other TAs of the course there, and I myself have been a TA so far for 2 semesters, starting in fall 2014. And I'm going to continue to be a TA for the course, at least this upcoming semester, which is fall 2015. So using all that experience, I've compiled this review sheet for you guys, which is available for download on my webpage, which I'll point to in the description below, below the YouTube video. And I'm just going to get started taking you guys through some of the material. So the list of topics for the final exam, basically you have coding basics, built-in data types, variables and expressions, conditional execution, meaning your if-else statements, functions and methods, modules, so the Turtle module, math module, random module, URL. URL you don't really have to worry about, but Turtle, math, and random I would say definitely no. Passing parameters, that's a big one that gets a lot of students, especially beginners to programming. Returning values, another big one. Iteration, for and while loops, of course, that's crucial. Data files, debugging and testing, scope and namespaces, and user input. Now, this set of tutorials will be helpful mainly to people who are in this course and who want to further their learning outside of the classroom with supplementary material to the course. Of course, this isn't a replacement for the course. However, this will also be useful to anyone looking to pick up Python programming and wanting to get a rapid start, because what it's basically doing is taking the experience from the course and the experience of where people usually go wrong, and it's pointing you in the right direction so that in your own independent studies you can avoid these mistakes. So these are things that if you were just doing this alone and self-teaching yourself, you may fall into 2 or 3 of these pitfalls, but after watching these videos, hopefully you'll know how to circumvent them, and you'll be able to kickstart your programming a lot faster, and hopefully make milestones of progress much quicker than you would have been able to without this supplementary material. But for those of you in the course, it's worth noting that the final exam is worth 30% of your grade. I'm not sure if they're changing this for next semester, but so far the final exam has been worth approximately 30% of your grade each semester. And we're going to now cover some coding basics in Python. So obviously we're using the Python programming languages. The development environment that we're using is Python idle. Now for those of you new to programming, there's different development environments for different programming languages. This isn't to say that Python idle is the only development environment for the Python language. However, it's the one that we're going to be using in our studies and in our practice. Now, built-in data types, so you have the int, which is the counting type, or the integer. That's just an integer value, so 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, -1. So notice there's no floating point numbers here, there's no decimals. Okay, these are whole numbers, these are integers, right? You know what integers are from algebra class. Now, a float or floating point number can have a decimal value. Okay, so these are things with decimals. Now note the distinction between these two. Right, and remember absolute value. Okay, so now going back to our different functions, absolute value is a function that takes one argument, which is a number, and it returns its absolute value. Right, so remember absolute value is the distance a number is from 0. So the absolute value of 5 is 5. The absolute value of -5 is 5. Because it's on a number line, those two numbers are 5 units away from 0. And we're actually getting close to the 5-minute mark here, guys. So this was the intro video. Thanks, and I'll see you in the next lesson.